You know the feeling. It's Sunday night, you're staring at your charts, and it's just a blank slate. Total uncertainty. What is the market even going to do this week? Well, what if I told you there's a way to get a sneak peek at the script? Stick around, right? That's the million-dollar question. Every single week, are we going to get a nice, clean trend that's easy to trade, or is it going to be a choppy, sideways, account-draining mess? Answering that question before Monday's open is exactly what we're going to break down right here. And the key is this idea of the weekly profile. You can think of it like the market's favorite plays in its playbook. These are recurring patterns, and they're all driven by three simple phases. Accumulation, which is when the big players are quietly setting up. Manipulation, that's the fake-out move designed to trap everyone. And then distribution, which is the real explosive trend. If you know this, it's like knowing the plot twist before you even start the movie. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the trader's so-called secret weapon, then we'll learn how to read the market's schedule. After that, we'll dive into the 5 main profiles you'll see over and over again. We'll look at a real-world example, and then we'll wrap it all up into a simple blueprint you can use every single week. Okay, so what is this secret weapon that helps us figure out the week ahead? Well, it means we have to look a little beyond our typical charts and indicators. What if I told you that the single biggest clue about the week's price action isn't on your price chart at all? It's not in your indicators, not in your trend lines, not even in last week's candles. It's this. It's the economic calendar. And believe it or not, this simple, totally free tool is the dividing line between traders who just react to whatever happens and traders who can actually anticipate the rhythm of the market. So what is this thing? It's basically just a schedule of all the big economic news for the week. But here's the secret. We don't really care what the news says. We care when it's scheduled to happen. Think of these events as planned injections of volatility. It makes the calendar the closest thing we have to a weather forecast for the market. Okay, so we have the tool, but just having a weather forecast doesn't mean you know how to read it, right? You got to know what to look for. So let's get it set up the right way. All right, let's get this set up so you're seeing exactly what you need to see. It's super simple. Go to a site like Forex Factory. First, and this is important, set your time zone to New York. Second, filter it so you're only seeing news for the US dollar. And third, the most important part, filter by impact so you only see the high-impact red folder events. That's it. All the other noise just disappears. And what this does is it just cuts out all the distractions. Forget yellow, forget orange. We are laser-focused on the red folders. These are the events that have a huge potential to move the market. Our entire weekly game plan is built around when these specific events are scheduled. And when you see those red folders, these are the names you're going to see over and over again. NFP, CPI, FOMC, these are the heavy hitters. These are guaranteed volatility. And remember, we are not trying to guess what the CPI number is going to be. We are using its spot on the calendar to anticipate when the market is likely to make its big move for the week. And look, I have to be super clear about this. This is not about trading the news release itself, trying to scalp a move the second the data comes out. That's not a strategy, it's a coin flip, it's a gamble. Your perfect technical setup can get completely wiped out in a single second. We use the news to frame our week, not to gamble on the outcome. All right, we've got the tool, we know how to read it. Now for the magic. Let's connect this calendar to how the market actually behaves. This brings us to the 5 core stories or profiles that the market tends to follow week after week. First up, the most common one you'll see. We call it the classic Tuesday. So in a bullish week, Monday is usually pretty quiet. That's our accumulation phase. Then on Tuesday, often kicked off by some news, the market makes a sneaky move down. That's the manipulation to set the low of the week. And once that's in, Wednesday through Friday is the real move, the distribution higher. The bearish version? Exactly the same, just flipped upside down. Okay, that's great for a classic Tuesday, but what if you look at the calendar and the big news isn't until Wednesday or even Thursday? Well, that often gives us the Wednesday profile. When there's no news on Monday or Tuesday, there's no fuel, right? The market just kind of sits there, consolidating. Then Wednesday's news provides the spark for that manipulation move, setting the high or low of the week, which then lets the real trend play out on Thursday and Friday. Okay, to finish up our playbook, there are 3 other patterns to watch for. There's the Thursday reversal, where you get chop all the way until Thursday, and then that day's news creates the manipulation and the reversal. Then you have the midweek rally, where Monday just keeps going from last week's trend and the higher low of the week is set super early. And finally, the big one, seek and destroy Friday. You see this a lot on NFP week. You get 4 days of frustrating, tight consolidation, followed by a massive, explosive move on Friday. Okay, theory is one thing, but let's see this in action. I want to walk you through a real week, play by play, and show you how the calendar basically handed us the market's game plan ahead of time. All right, check this out. This was the calendar for a recent week. Monday, no news. Tuesday and Wednesday have some news, but not the big red folder kind. The real firepower is waiting until Thursday, with high-impact unemployment claims. And Friday is a holiday. So looking at this, what's your gut telling you? Which profile might we be setting up for? And just watch how this unfolded. It was picture perfect. Monday, with no news, was total accumulation. Price did nothing. Tuesday and Wednesday used that mid-tier news to start the manipulation, pushing price down to hunt for stop losses. And then on Wednesday, it set the definitive low of the week and reversed hard. And then Thursday hits. That high-impact news was the fuel for the fire, and the real distribution move took off. Friday, as expected on a holiday, was quiet. So what was the result? An absolutely textbook Wednesday low of the week profile. The calendar didn't predict the exact price levels, but it perfectly forecasted the rhythm of the week. Accumulation, a midweek manipulative low, and a late week distribution trend. The whole story was right there on the schedule. Okay, that was awesome, right? But how do you actually use this week in and week out? Let's boil this all down to a simple, powerful blueprint you can put into practice this Sunday. It's just 4 steps. That's it. Step 1, every Sunday, open that calendar and spot the red folders. Step 2, based on where they are, form a hypothesis. Does this look like a classic Tuesday or maybe a Wednesday reversal? Step 3, watch what happens on Monday and Tuesday. Does the price action support your idea? And step 4, the most important rule of all, react, don't predict. This is a map, not a crystal ball. Always trade what the market is actually doing. And honestly, this right here is the biggest mindset shift you can make. Our job isn't to be right. Our job isn't to force our opinions on the market. Our job is to be an observer, to listen to the story the market is telling us through the calendar and through the price action, and then simply react to it. The market is the storyteller. We're just the interpreters. So now you have the framework. You have a way to see the potential story before it even starts. So go on, pull up your calendar for this week. Find those red folders. The clues are there. The question is, what story is it telling you?